Actually, wait a minute. I think we're gonna reach 1,000 here. Wait, what? Oh, yes! 1,000! We can now make the antimatter! Oh my gosh! It looks like a jelly bean. Hello everybody and welcome back to some more Project Skycapsule. You probably have two questions for me. Number one, I will answer them in the order that probably occurred to you. Why am I wearing a hazmat suit? And why are there laser drills behind me? So the hazmat suit is in reference to what our plan for today is, because we're going to be doing some stuff with possibly radioactive stuff. Well, no, I know it's in fact radioactive, and it could very likely get me killed if I mess anything up. So just in case, I am wearing a hazmat suit. The laser drills, well, this one was to help with that, because since we're going to be doing reactor stuff, we needed fluorite. Now, fluorite is very interesting in that I can't actually get it normally in any way in this mod pack. I needed to laser drill it for the ore. So that's what I set up right here, was an ore laser drill, and then it all connected over to here, and eventually I was able to get myself a buttload of fluorite. I don't remember how much I made though. I know I duplicated it a mass amount. And as for this laser drill, since I made that one over there, I decided to make a fluid laser drill so that way I could get some ether gas, which is basically what you get by having a laser drill on top of a wither. And I think I needed, a purple laser lens over it. And I have a stasis chamber in there, which is where that green box is, where basically anything in that little area just cannot move. With that out of the way though, let us begin. So, what we need to do in order to do all this, we're first going to need to make a component called fissile fuel. I've already gathered up all of the resources that I am going to need for this. So fissile fuel can be made two ways. One is in reproduced fissile fuel fragment, which I could get from plutonium, which I will do later off stream, that way I don't have to keep like this process running for that. But the main way you need to do it is you need to do a bit of a processing. You use an isotopic centrifuge on uranium hexafluoride, which you can get by using the chemical infuser to mix hydrofluoric acid and uranium oxide. Uranium oxide you get from yellow cake uranium, which you get from crushing down uranium. Oh wait, no, you get from enriching it, my bad, and you chemical oxidize it. Then over on the other side for hydrofluoric acid, you need to use the chemical dissolution chamber to, chemical dissolution sulfuric acid with the fluorite that I was needing for the hydrofluoric acid. For the sulfuric acid, you just need to infuse sulfur trioxide with water vapor. You can guess how you get water vapor. No, you can't. I'll tell you. You need a rotary concentrate water. As for the sulfur trioxide, that's also a mix of things, being a mix of oxygen, which I get from the electrolytic separator, and sulfur dioxide, which I get from chemical oxidizing sulfur. It's gonna be a lot of processes, and I've already gathered up all the stuff. And since we've already got so much to do today,
20 minutes later.
Alrighty, here we go. This is the setup I have. So at the bottom right here, you have the sulfur trioxide setup. Right above that, you have the sulfuric acid setup. And then above the sulfuric acid, you have the uranium hexafluoride, which then goes up into the centrifuge to make the fissile fuel. How it's doing this without pipes like all these extensions right here have, is that within the mechanism things, they have internal configs that they have where you can actually transfer what you want. So all you'd have to do is make sure that you have auto eject on and make sure that you're in the right one. For this one, we need gases, and all these are correct. So all that's left to do is to turn these babies on. So for these ones right here, these are the ones that need items. For right here, we would have the uranium, which would turn into the yellow cake uranium. And then we have that going over into here, which then makes the uranium oxide. This one is for the hydrofluoric acid using the fluorite. And then this one right over here is for the sulfur dioxide. The only thing I don't know is, will these things continue to pump out their stuff even after, it's consumed just one? Because these things won't continue to generate as long as there is something in here, but it generates a stack each time, so I don't know if it'll continue to pull things out. This, my friends, is what science is for. So let's go ahead and then just take all these flux points and then pipe these up on the back. That does not need one that is a tank. And then just hope for the best. I hope that this will all work out. I'm uncertain. So now that all these babies are powered, they're probably going to be a little bit loud. So this one is for the uranium, let us begin the science. It has taken one out. It takes out a whole stack each time, so I already know that it's going to start off decently, but what I don't know is if it is going to start off by giving us the things that we want. So there we go. This one will be the quickest because it'll make your sulfur dust. There we go. Now it's outputted that, and somehow there's still stacks in there. I guess maybe it only didn't work like that because the other things that I'd use this for aren't naturally supposed to stack. Huh. Well, that's fun. So then, really, that is everything then. The only thing left that I need to do is I need to set up a water source to go into the electrolytic separator and the rotary condensator, because both of those things are going to need water. So now we can go ahead and then just pipe this out right onto these points right here, and then we can go ahead and just set that thing up right there. There we go. Now those things were the king to generate their stuff. If I could grab a pipe upgrade, it could actually pull out faster. I could probably just take from my many ultimate pipe upgrades. Hopefully that doesn't take too much. Wow, that took everything. Huh. Well, I mean, it works. Cool. But there we go. Now all of it is converging into this one point, finally making the fissile fuel. There we go. It was a slow process at first because it took me a bit to be able to get the rest of this, but you know what? It is very fine. Now, it'll be way faster if I were to put a bunch of upgrades into this, but I already have an idea for how I could gain infinite fuel for my reactor, and even then, I won't be using the reactor for too long, so it's like, I don't really need too much in this. So let's just go ahead and then grab ourselves a ultimate chemical tank, which I did actually make a bunch of in between episodes, and there we go. Now all of that will just go into here, and then we have this now on standby. So now whilst we're setting up everything else, this will be at the ready. So now that we've gotten the reactor fuel done, we need the reactor components. So what we need to do for this is called fission reactor casing, fission reactor ports, fission reactor logic adapters, which admittedly aren't as useful this time around, because I mean, like, I probably won't be doing this too seriously. A few fission fuel assemblies and a control rod assembly. All of these things are very easy to get, especially with duplication power. Actually, that one's currently busy. Okay, let's instead go ahead and pull from our pool right over here, so that way we can just go ahead and put that there, and then just yes, all the casings, so much casings, we love the casings. So then we can go ahead and then just use this to make 2 of the fusion reactor ports. I think that's not enough. Oh, well, we know what to do when we don't have enough of something, don't we? After that, we then get ourselves the fuel rod assembly, and then we can also get the control rod assembly. Now, I'm not going to make this thing too big, so I won't need too many of these, but it wouldn't hurt to duplicate. Honestly, I think I'm going a little bit mad with the power of duplication. So then the final thing that we really need is just going to be some reactor glass. But this stuff takes some enriched iron. Not good stuff to deal with. I don't want a charcoal block, that would be a bit too much. But a good bit of coal in itself would be very efficient. So the way that we get this is we just need to take this stuff over to our metallurgic infuser, and then we can throw the coal in there, and then the iron in there, and then it condenses, infusing together, and it will create the enriched iron. And then we can go ahead and then just make a bunch of the reactor glass. There we go. So then now that that is ready, we just need to set up somewhere in the world our reactor. I will set it up over here. Now, one thing you should all know, this is one of the kinds of reactors that if I mishandle it, it can and will blow up. And if it blows up, it'll release a butt ton of radiation. So I need to be very careful with how I handle this. Yeah, okay, I think if it will work, I think I'm gonna do a 4x3. If that'll work. If it doesn't work, then I'll do a 4x4. But I'm not too concerned with, like, trying to generate power from this. My only concern is trying to obtain... Oh, yeah, this definitely should work. But my only concern is going to be obtaining something else from this stuff. I think that the rods can't go to the top like this. That was only in extreme reactors. So I have to put these, assemble these right on top because that's where they have to go, is on the top. And then we can go ahead and then put these casings right up to here. There we go. And then it's just a matter of ports. There we go. Those should work out just fine then. Actually, let's go ahead and put these ones along this side. That way we can get a full glory look at this thing. Also, whilst hoping that this will work. So once we connect all of these sides with the reactor glass, this will hopefully assemble. You'll know if it assembles, if it does something specific. There we go. Now what would happen is, if I activate this, it won't do anything because you need to have fuel inside of this, as well as water. If you don't have some kind of coolant, that's when it blows up. Well, it blows up when it reaches a certain temperature. I definitely went way overkill on the amount of resources I needed to make this reactor, but you know what? It's fine. So now what we're gonna need is we're going to need to grab ourselves our configurator. There we go. And now we can set each of these to be their correct ones. This one is an input, we want that. Could I have just survived off of... Nah, it's better to have 2 inputs for each of them. So then this one can be the output coolant, which will just be steam, and we're just gonna avoid that off. And then this one will be the output waste. That is the stuff we're looking for, is the waste from this. We are manure farmers now, boys, though. So now what I need to do is I need to set up a few things. That way I could get coolant and stuff, as well as other things out of here, which you cannot do with the pipes mod, which I will explain in a little bit. So let me gather up those things really quickly.
Much later.
Alrighty, I should have gathered up everything I'm going to need. And also, considering that this thing is of a very small size, I think honestly that 1 million of the fissile fuel is already far more than enough. So let's go ahead and take this, and then we can put it right here, and then hopefully that will start to output it. It does not, because we need to have the back be to output, and that did indeed go down. Aha! Oh, wow, that is ridiculously small amount, huh? Wait a minute, so did I not actually need to go this heavy with the water either? Yeah, the coolant is going up, but it's a lot more than I was expecting it to be. But it is going up there. Very slowly. Basically what's happening here is, on this side right here, we have the fuel and the water going in, which the water is coming from Aqua's accumulator, which I did actually put an upgrade in. So now it is not only accumulating water faster, it can transfer it far faster as well. Then over on this side, I have put a fluid trash can, which can actually also void gases as well, which is what this will be turning into. And then right over here, we're going to need to put another chemical tank, because that is going to absorb all of the waste, which is going to be what we're going to need. And seeing how little this is actually generating, I have concerns that there might not be too much being made. And we actually need to utilize this to make 2 different things. One is going to be called plutonium. Real world stuff. It's really radioactive, very, very dangerous. Also can be used for time travel. And then the other one, we have polonium. Not real world, not used for time travel. But what it will be used for is making antimatter. That will be the final goal for today. But for right now, though, let's wait for this thing to get all the way full. It's almost halfway done, so...
Much later.
It's time to turn this baby on. If this thing runs out of coolant, it can be very bad. But it won't be too bad immediately, because this thing does have steps that it takes before it blows up. So if we run too low on fuel, I will just scram this thing, which will turn it off. Let's go. Fuel is staying still. Okay, no, not fuel. Coolant is staying still. The fuel is also staying still, which is expected because I have a buttload of it in there. And it's only burning, it appears, 1 a tick, maybe? But it's not very hot. And yeah, you can definitely hear how loud it is. Like, oh my gosh. And yeah, that's not going in for some reason. I guess maybe it just can't go in here. Huh, okay, well, that's fine. Because, I mean, the nuclear waste was going to need to go into something else anyway. So, you know what? We can work with that. Oh, water has started to go down, though. Okay, well, good news. I found out how to mute the reactor, so now I don't have to keep dealing with the sound. But as for how we're going to gain more coolant, I'm honestly not certain of this. Well, what I'd have to do is I'd have to make more of these, and I'd probably have to have more of them on the Resonant Ender one. But other than that, we may just have to deal with this. I mean, we're only going to need 2,000 buckets of this, and it will take some time. So, I mean, I'm already gonna have to cut away anyways. Actually, I could probably separate it even easier if I just split it down the middle like this. So we'll just put that there, so that way it's now going out even further. And then we can put the solar neutron activator there, and the isotopic centrifuge there, and then put them both in each. So now they should both be making their individual things. There we go.
Much later.
Alrighty, we've got ourselves a whole bucket of each of them. I'm going to continue making the polonium just because I can, and I did figure out how to continue to make more water and also get this up to burning 2 millibuckets, and that was to make a buttload of these things, fill them all with their resonant ender, and then you just have a watch flowing time making these things all produce even more, not hitting the reactor, because I don't think it would affect it in any way. So now what we gotta do is we got to take the plutonium right out of this, so that way we can then send it into this baby right here, and then we need to get water into this somehow. And then that should make, no, I forgot the most important step, fluorite dust. Fluorite dust is, I believe I just crushed fluorite. Yeah, I do. Okay, so then I should still have some fluorite back over here. So if I go ahead and then grab the fluorite, and then we just need to go ahead and get ourselves a crusher, which I should still have. And we get ourselves our 1 fluorite dust. I'm gonna let this make 2, since we're only going to need to make 2 of them. So, you know, it'll be fine. Because remember, mass item duplication. So now we got these 2 right here. So now we can go ahead and take the 1 of these and then throw it into here, so that way the plutonium and the water will then mix and make ourselves some plutonium pellets. Alrighty, so then next up we have ourselves the polonium. So yeah, that's gonna be going in slowly in increments if we just leave it like that. But we can go ahead and take the rest of it out of this waste barrel. So now that should be ready and raring for us to create the beautiful and succulent polonium, baby. Ah, it's beautiful. So then, with the polonium and the plutonium, we're going to need to make a few very specific things. We're going to need to make this right here called SPS casing, which takes HDPE sheets, which takes the pellets, which just takes the substrate, which we were generating from our ethylene generator. Let's go ahead and make a good bit of that. That should be enough already on its own. And then we just need to mass duplicate the SPS casings. All just like this. There we go. And then we can go ahead and then use that to make the port, which we will also want to mass duplicate. And that should already be enough on its own. Okay. After this, now that we've gotten these things ready, we need to make something called a laser. I know I still have the tablets, they just have energy in them, so it's not gonna work with the JEI. So there we go, now we got that laser, and then we can use that to make the supercharged coil by putting a laser into there. So what the SPS stands for? It's supercritical phase shifter. And what this baby will do is it will take the raw polonium that is being made right here, not the polonium pellets, and it will then create antimatter. And we'll need to make a whole SPS setup for that, but we won't be doing that just yet because we still need to solve our little problem that we have right here. You see this thing will slowly be going down, and it will be making this, and you know what? I do like this, but I think I might need to make a bigger reactor for this specific next part, because antimatter is very particular. It takes 1,000 buckets. No, it takes 1,000 millibuckets of polonium in order to make 1 millibucket of antimatter. So, if I remember correctly, I believe that is going to be about 1,000,000 buckets. So that way we can make 1 bucket of antimatter. I could be wrong. So we're going to want this to be generating a lot more, which means we'll need to make a bigger reactor, which means we'll need to have a more reliable fuel source. That is where the plutonium comes in. Because with plutonium, we can also use it in a chemical injection chamber and mix it with salt to make reprocessed fissile fuel fragments. And these things can then go into a chemical oxidizer to make 2,000 millibuckets of fissile fuel. The reason why this isn't a reliable thing to just keep going round and round is because plutonium in itself to make takes 10 millibuckets of nuclear waste, which takes 10 millibuckets of fissile fuel. So if you do all the math, it really doesn't add up. But now that we have access to infinite item duplication, oh yeah, we can do this. So I am going to set up all of that. I'll make a much bigger reactor, and then, and only then, can we get to work on this SPS. And once that happens, antimatter, baby. I'm gonna be up until midnight again. Oh yeah, one thing I did forget to mention is that it's not exclusively salt. You can also use hydrogen chlorine, which is something you can get from salt. But either way, you'd need something called brine, because to get the chlorine, you would need brine inside of an electrolytic separator, which you get from this little machine right here, which just takes water and then heats it up into brine, and then you push it right down into here. Either way, back to the cut. Alrighty, here we go. Everything is ready, and I did make the reactor far bigger, so now rather than having a max burn rate of 4 millibuckets, it could go up to 28. I'm not gonna do that though, because I got dangerously close to blowing this up. So what I did was I added another water flowing time to hopefully make this water production go faster, but I put it a little bit too close to the fission reactor, and then it lost all its coolant and went up into the 300s range of damage. For those of you who don't know, whenever it reaches 100 damage, every tick, it rolls a chance, at least as far as I understand, it rolls a chance every tick past 100 damage for it to blow up. And because of the accelerated ticks and all that, I got to 300 and it did not blow up. I am the luckiest cookie in the world. I don't want anyone to say otherwise. I did still irradiate the base though. There was something that did go wrong. I accidentally broke this thing earlier, and so it released a little bit of radiation. So as you can see on my Geiger counter, there is a buttload of radiation all around the place. I don't understand how my creatures aren't dying, but if we go all the way over to here, you know, it's fine. But back over to here, where everything is, yeah, not so much. So I'm gonna have to keep my radiation suit on for probably the rest of the series, but you know what? That's fine. So now that that is over with, let us begin the creation of the supercritical phase shifter. So we're gonna put this baby on top of here. Hopefully the cobble doesn't disturb that. It does not. There we go. So then we can go ahead and then put a piece of glass right there. Ah! I accidentally broke my reactor. The one thing I did not want to do. Oh, and it's still active. That's neat. Is it still okay, though? Yes, sir. It looks like it is. Okay, cool. I want to be very certain of that. Okay, I'm going to be keeping a very keen eye on this thing. So, what we need to do is, with this structure glass, this is different from reactor glass, we want to make a little 9x9 thing like that, and then on each of these sides, we put what looks like little wings, like so. There we go. And then around all of that, we will then put the SPS casing, making sure that the corners are not filled until we get what looks like kind of a circle-esque thing, but not too much of a circle. Then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take this structure glass like this, and then I think we want to build up by 5, so it should be right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, sir. Yes, it is. So then we can build out a little wing thing just like this, just like we did down here. And then we can proceed to make it go, not there, but we need to make it all fill in exactly the same. And we'll need to do this on all 4 sides. And the cool thing is once it's down here, it's gonna make what's gonna look like a gigantic circle. So let me go ahead and get the other 3 walls, and then I will show you the rest of this little project. Alrighty, and there we go. This is what it's gonna look like on the 4 walls. Now, on the top, you'll do essentially the same thing, but I don't want to fill it in yet because On some points, we're going to want to change this out for ports, such as this thing right here. On these ports, you could do one of two things. You could either put the supercharged coil, which is what's going to power this whole thing, so that way we can then start generating the antimatter, or you can have it be an output, which will output the antimatter, which I will have on top of this thing. I either want one of these or possibly 4. I'm going to put in one on all 4 sides, if nothing else, but for sheer aesthetic to this thing. So let's go ahead and put all these like so, and there we go. Now those things are like that. So now we just need to bring this whole thing together, and once again, this whole thing will be pretty much the same as in all other sides, but this one is the easiest to map out because now we have all this stuff right here to help us with our pristine building project. And, oh, I forgot to change out the middle one so that way it can be the port. So let's go ahead and put this baby right there. And then once we put this last one right here, this should build itself. Yes, it does. There we go. So now we just need to take this configurator, change that to output, and there we go. That should all be good. I think I might need to have another import because this thing needs to get, it needs to get plutonium into it. Okay, well, that won't be a problem. So, yeah, if I were to take this along the wall, let's go ahead and put this right here, and then we can go ahead and then have a import one going right here, and then that's where the plutonium will get in from. There we go. Now the plutonium is in here, and will it go into here? It did, yes! Okay, so it can hold 2,000 maximum. Okay, then. So now, all that's left to do is to just start putting down the flux points. Oh yes, baby. Oh, yes, baby. We already got 26 antimatter. Dude, was that from all of it? Yeah, that was. Okay, that's actually really good. So now what it's gonna do is it's gonna just keep rapidly making the antimatter, and all these electrical coils are just gonna shoot out the electricity in the center, and that is where we're gonna get our antimatter. This won't make it go any faster because it's all already in there, so the progress meter is just the more of it being eaten up, so that's why it perpetually shows the 1 millibucket. We actually have more like 30 in there, but there we go. Now we got ourselves 27 antimatter. Once we get enough of the antimatter, let me go in here and show you. With the antimatter, you'll want to put it into a chemical crystallizer, and using 1,000 millibuckets of that, you'll get an antimatter pellet, which you can also turn back into the normal antimatter, which is pretty much going to be the coolest darn thing on Earth. Do I have the crystallizer, though? I'm uncertain. I don't think I do, so let's see if I have everything I need to make it. Yes, I do. So now what I would just need to do is I can just go ahead and then put this baby right here, and then slap this guy right here, and now, once there is enough in there, this thing will generate the antimatter. I could just put this in a tank, or at least I could attempt to put this in a tank and then see if I can just duplicate it from there, but I honestly don't know if I can put this in a tank. I'll give it a shot, but I don't have high hopes for this thing. Let's go ahead and grab the ultimate tank right here, and then let's put that there, and then if I take it out from here, and let's go ahead and change this one to output. I accidentally disconnected it, that's fine, and let's see. It's not looking like it's gonna work like that. That is unfortunate. I can leave it there just so that way once this thing reaches its next generation, but again, I do not have high hopes for this, so it should be done here in a few seconds. Can I please mute that SPS? Can it mute? Okay, wait. Yes. Sweet silence. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so now it'll reach its maximum point, so now it should go into the pipe ore. Oh my gosh, it can go in there! Wait, what? Oh. Well, so what I would need to do then, to make a whole millibucket of this, is I need to duplicate this thing 100 times. Here we go.
1 minute later.
Here is my basic setup. So we got this chemical tank right here. This is the one that has the antimatter in it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that one in there, and then we can go ahead and take out these ones right here. There we go. Now we can go ahead and plant these into here. I will disperse it out if I have to. Fine. Have it your way. If you want to disperse like that, that's fine. I don't care. I don't need you to be up like that. And you know what? It all works out just fine. So, what we need to do is have this thing right here on this side be output. This is important. I don't know why this works like this, but when you're importing things into the chemical tank, it puts it up to here, which is where it could take things out. But you want it to be thing here, we will put things in, and then you will also have the output on this side right here. So let's put one there. It will then take out the gas, and then it will send it back over into this chest right over here. Slowly but surely, they will all eventually go into here until we inevitably have a whole stack of this, which is going to be 64 of the antimatter. When that happens, we do this again. But this time, rather than duplicating the 1 millibucket one, we duplicate this one right here. You see where I'm going with this? You see the evil that I have unleashed? Oh boy, I love exploiting, especially when it's legal exploiting. Legal exploits? Oh boy, are they the best. Oh, we're already almost done. Neat. So now the process will repeat, but this time always going up by the amount that we have. Until eventually we will reach 1,000. Actually, wait a minute. I think we're gonna reach 1,000 here. Wait, what? Oh, yes! 1,000! We can now make the antimatter! Oh my goodness, that is the wrong button. I wanted this button. Yes, there we go. Oh my gosh. Okay then, so how much of this will I have by the time this is done? Okay, but with just 4 more tanks remaining, there's no way this will fill up the chest. There we go. Dude, by getting this thing up to a stack and then duplicating it again like that, you're then able to get 4,000. So now what I can do is I can put that one there, and then, yes, there we go. It's automatically going in. So now we will get ourselves, in 3, 2, 1, our antimatter pellets, baby. Oh my gosh! It looks like a jelly bean. Actually, no, not there. It looks like a magic jelly bean. Why does it look like a jelly bean? Why we wanted this antimatter in the grand scheme of everything that we have. Let me show you why. If I go into here and then find the creative chemical tank, one of its recipes is a fully maxed out antimatter inside of an ultimate chemical tank. Could I have done that by duplicating it like that? Yes. Would it have just been easier to just duplicate this so that way I would then have that many millibuckets? Also yes. Which is why I did it like this, and also for thumbnail purposes, because by actually having it in the video, I could show it on my thumbnail to show I did this. Haha, cheating! And all it cost me was all the radiation inside of my base. Yay. Did you like this video? Good. Then be sure to check out our last Project Skycapsule video where we got the initial creative items all at once. Bye-bye!